This is the Italian Citizenship Podcast, hosted by Marco Permunian and Rafael Di Furia. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast, presented by Italiancitizenshipassistance.com. Of course, we're back at it again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian, and I am Rafael Di Furia. And in this week's episode, we wanted to talk about the Constitutional Court review that is going to be coming up on the 11th of March, 2026, very soon. And we wanted to cover a little bit of what's happened so far and what could happen next. So Marco, just to get us started off with this episode, would you be able to share with us just a very brief overview of what has happened so far?
Ever since the Italian Parliament converted the Tajani Decree into Law 74 of 2025, there have been several judges in several Italian courts that have decided to ask for a review of the new rules established in Law 74 of 2025, and such review will be performed on March the 11th by the Italian Constitutional Court. And while the hearing is scheduled for March the 11th, a decision will not be rendered on the same day, but most likely in the month of April. And even if the expectation is that the decision will be rendered in the month of April, it could also be potentially rendered in May. With that being said, the job of the Constitutional Court will be to determine whether the Tajani Decree is fully or partially compliant with the Italian Constitution or not at all compliant with the Italian Constitution. And in fact, many individuals who were in the process of applying for Italian citizenship by descent through the Italian judicial system have argued that the new rules that have been applied without any grace period and that established so strict requirements are retroactive and discriminatory against those who were in the process versus those who were able to submit their applications prior to the new rules going into effect.
Well, thank you so much, Marco, for that overview. And of course, based on this constitutional review, there could be various different outcomes. And so would you mind sharing with us what those outcomes might look like and what potentially could be expected, both in the positive and in the negative side of things?
So there are basically four potential outcomes. The Constitutional Court could confirm that the rules that were established by the Tajani Decree are fully compliant with the Italian Constitution, which at this moment in time, it seems to be unlikely. The second scenario is that the court establishes that the rules are not at all compliant with the Italian Constitution, and therefore they are completely deleted, so the Tajani Decree will cease to exist if that were to be the outcome. There could also be a situation where the Italian court establishes that certain provisions that are included in the decree are compliant with the Constitution and some other provisions are not compliant with the Italian Constitution. And finally, there could be a situation where the Italian Constitutional Court establishes that the Tajani Decree is confirmed, but that it needs to be interpreted in a certain specific way, which could also be a brand new interpretation based on the letter of the law. And to clarify this last point, the letter of the law would remain the same, but the Constitutional Court would indicate in which way the letter of the law needs to be interpreted. Now, of course, it's truly unpredictable what the outcome could be. It could be that the court says that those who were already born when the Tajani Decree went into effect should not be affected by the new rules, and that, in other words, the new rules should only be applicable to those who were born after the Tajani Decree went into effect. Or it could be that the court prefers that a grace period is introduced to allow those who were in good faith going through the process are able to finish the process without the new rules applying to them, because the new rules were enacted without any prior notice. So, of course, those who went in the process and were maybe looking for an appointment or unable to get an appointment found themselves in a situation where the rules changed overnight and they were not able to submit an application through no fault of their own.
Well, very interesting, Marco. And I can't help but wonder here about how there have been already for years what are called 1948 cases where someone makes an argument that their ancestor should have been recognized with the ability to pass down citizenship, a female ancestor who gave birth before 1948. But what about with these set of circumstances here? For those who were born before the Tajani Decree, who have an argument to make based on the Constitution, who have an argument to make based on the rights that they should have already been born with, regardless of the outcome of this review, would somebody potentially have a case to be made in court, regardless of the outcome of what happens on the 11th?
The Constitutional Court will be reviewing whether the Tajani Decree and the new rules are compliant with the Italian Constitution. But regardless of that, there are many individuals who were ready to file their applications before the new rules went into effect and could not file their applications through no fault of their own. And so all of those people have a claim that can be made in court that allows them to argue that the fact that they were unable to submit their applications prior to the new rules going into effect wasn't their fault. And more precisely, the lack of appointments offered by the Italian consulate that these people should have been using is what caused the fact that these people were unable to submit their applications. And therefore, regardless of the constitutional review of the Tajani Decree and of the new rules, these individuals are able to submit a claim to an Italian court arguing that they were ready to file their applications, but that there were no appointments available at the Italian consulate. And therefore, regardless of what happened with the Constitutional Court, these people should be grandfathered in. And the new rules shouldn't be applied to these people, not because they are or aren't constitutional, but because these individuals were not offered the opportunity to present their cases at an Italian consulate.
So Marco, with everything that we've spoken about so far, and with the specificity in the Tajani Decree talking about that this would apply specifically to those born abroad, I can't help but wonder also if, regardless of the outcome, say, for example, if there's a negative outcome, would somebody have the ability to go back to court or to have this somehow brought back in front of the Constitutional Court based on this discriminating factor?
A constitutional review of a law in the Italian system can be requested multiple times for various constitutional aspects. So the aspect that you just mentioned, which is the discrimination between those who were born abroad and those who were born in Italy, which is a kind of discrimination that the Tajani Decree is clearly making because it's creating basically two classes of citizens: those who were born abroad were subject to the new rules, and those who were born in Italy who are not subject to the new rules. So this kind of discrimination is definitely something that the Constitutional Court could find that it is in violation of the Italian Constitution and take action.
Well, Marco, thank you so much for getting into all of the topics from today's episode. And of course, for those who are interested in help to be able to exercise their right to Italian citizenship, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, italiancitizenshipassistance.com.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, for more information like this, be sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel as well as the audio-only podcast. But of course, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, that means you're not only subscribed to the Italian Citizenship Podcast, but also episodes of Ask the Italian Lawyer and the Move to Italy podcast, formerly known as the Italian Real Estate Podcast. And also for more about life abroad and living abroad from the perspective of a dual citizen expat, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or you can search for Not Your Average Globetrotter. But again, of course, we have been here with Italian attorney Marco Permunian, and I am Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you all next time for the next episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast. Thank you.